Okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. Today we're going to have our homeless liaison meeting, and we have a couple of special guests that we're going to hear from Department of Motor Vehicle and their relationship or how they actually issue IDs to homeless individuals, some senior updates on what's going on, new in the news with Department of Motor Vehicle and seniors. And so I'll let her do that part when she arrives, when it's her turn to speak. Her name is Tressa Thompson. So right now, we'd like to open up the floor to any public comments. They can unmute themselves, right?
Yeah. For those who are new to Zoom, if you're on your computer, if you scroll down to the word participants on the black screen and click on it, you'll not only bring up the names of people who are here, but you'll see a function that says raise hand. So you can raise your hand that way. If you're on the phone, I always forget how one raises their hands, sorry.
The same way, you go to reactions.
Yeah.
And you'll get the options and you
Right.
raise your hand.
Right. Worst comes to worst, just send a chat to the hosts and say, I'd like to ask a question, or I'd like to speak in public comments.
Yeah, well, this is a pretty informal. I see you, Pamela. It's pretty informal, but we're gonna go ahead and do public comment. Pastor Chase, you can unmute yourself as well if you have any public comments. Pamela, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm just new here. I'm just introducing myself, Pamela Modeste. I'm a drama therapist interested in working with the community. So I'm here just to kind of keep abreast of, things that are going on so that I can better contribute to the community. And basically what I do is help people with their mental well-being and therapeutic goals. And so the more I know about the community, the more I can help.
Oh, welcome. We appreciate that. Pastor Chase?
Good evening. I'm the Reverend Louis Chase, and I'm the Minister of Outreach at the Holman United Methodist Church. And the one issue which I wanted to mention this evening is to do with redistricting and its importance, and to have the churches involved in this important issue at the moment. So they need to look out for this information when it comes in the mail. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Any more public comments? We allotted 5 more minutes for public comment. Linda, any public comments? Laura?
Well, this is sort of maybe or maybe not off target. I've been, as you know, Tori, but the others, and Gisa knows, others may not, I'm also a historian. And for reasons that don't relate to us at all, I've lately been reading a lot of historic and sociology material on travelers, Irish travelers, Scottish travelers, the Roma community, who we pejoratively would call gypsies. I mean, they're outsiders, and that's probably not that much in this country. But the point is, there's just a lot of research going on in Europe right now, contemporary research, about the actions of government forcing these groups to go inside, or taking their children away so that they learn a non-itinerant life. And I do wonder, when we talk about homeless, to what extent, what small portion or maybe a larger portion of the people who are living on the streets, it's maybe a similar situation where this is their choice, this is their background. And as I'm reading this other material, I'm realizing condemnation is not the right approach. So, but I don't know to what extent that's our situation here. I mean, it obviously we're not dealing with Roma, Sinti, Irish travelers, Scottish travelers, but or maybe we are to some extent. But anyway, so it's just a comment, no response, because it's public comment.
Okay. Before I respond to that, any more public comments? Okay, well, it's 6:37. I was gonna say to the comment that Laura made, we don't know where everyone comes from that's homeless right now. We don't, unless you engage in actual conversation with them. And so usually when I engage someone, I look to find out what it is they want, where they come from, where they want to go. And I usually find out a lot of things that way. We had one instance lately on Washington and Gramercy. Well, come to find out, she just wanted to go back to where her family was, but she had no way to get there. So instead of us utilizing the resources that comes from city and county, I suggested to LAPD, who called me about this person in particular, and I just recommended that they get her a voucher, train ticket, and gather her items that she wanted to take and let her go to where her family was. And that way, that's one less person. If we could just help one person at a time in our parameters within our reach, we could help the entire situation. So that's just my take on that. So I'm sure that's relevant, Laura, because everyone's coming from everywhere. We don't know if they're from here or not, unless you have that conversation. Yeah. I don't know what everyone else feels. This is an open forum. We have an agenda, but we allow interaction. So feel free whenever.
Yeah. Well, Tori, I had just come to this research a totally roundabout way, which is not pertinent to what we're doing here. So
yeah, it's always pertinent because it's all relative, you know.
Mm.
Okay, so now we usually do a round robin session where we come up with hot topics, concerns, whatever's going on in the community. We're United Neighborhood Council, and I'm the homelessness liaison for those of you that are new. But I would like to tell you our parameters for the homeless accountability is between Western and Crenshaw, and from Jefferson to Pico. Right now, we have one in particular that has been reported on 28th and Crenshaw near the Taco Bell that has been reported and on the official list for sanitation cleanup. They're not removing items right now, but I guess since COVID lifted, we may have a few little nuances of laws and changes of what the police department, what the sanitation department, or which agency can do what, when, how. Since we're only a week out, but they are on the sanitation list. So anyone that you see in the large encampments that are at least 5 or more tents, and you see where a pedestrian cannot walk through on the sidewalk, then feel free to take a picture and give me the location, and we'll add them on the list for sanitation. So, and that's something that has been proactive now with collaboration of us, the liaisons, the police department, the sanitation department, and the agency in which is in charge of that area, which is between LAHSA, which is the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority, which is a little hot water right now, and then the HOPIX, which is the Homeless Service Authority as well. So those are the two that I really interact with a lot around here and People's Concern, that's another one, which is off Arlington. But they're not primarily the ones that send out outreach as much as the other two with the funding stream that they have had in the past years. Any other issues, concerns, particulars that we could talk about
Tori,
while we're doing round robin?
Tori,
Yes,
where did you say the planned cleanup was with Pico and what?
no, the cleanup is 2800 Crenshaw, right by Taco Bell.
2800 what? Oh, Crenshaw.
Crenshaw,
Crenshaw, got it. Thank you. Okay.
yes, right by the Taco Bell on that side. And it appears to be growing from a report I received today from a very concerned constituent. So we definitely gonna stay on it, and I have confirmation last night with the police department and the Department of Sanitation report. So it's confirmed and it's on the official list. Yes, Jesus?
Last time which was my first time at a meeting, I said that I would check on that family. There was a family living out of a bus.
Right.
I've gone past there a few times. They are no longer there.
Right.
So just to let you know, because I was supposed to follow up on that. And then there is an Asian male that clearly has mental disabilities. And I don't know if it's schizophrenia, I don't know what it is, but he defecates on the side, like against a wall. And he also, like one night I saw him, I was in the car, and he almost got hit by a car, right? He was walking it, back and forth. Another neighbor sees him because she jogs every day. She says sometimes he seems better than other times. I haven't approached him yet. I just kind of wanted to, just get your advice on how to do that. If you have any advice for me.
Where is he located?
So when I see him, he is usually near Venice and Western, right in Harvard Heights where I live.
Well, Venice and Western.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So remember, I don't know if you received that pamphlet I had given for people to put the people into the system, HOP LA.
I have information on that, but I don't remember receiving something via email. I wrote down the information though.
Oh, okay. What's your email?
It's GISA, GISA
Mm-hmm.
at Butterfly Garden, singular, no S, garden, and then preschool.com.
Was it preschool?
Yeah, butterflygardenpreschool.com.
Oh, preschool.
Yeah, some people though add an S to garden. There's no S.
I have it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll send you that. But in the meantime, if you feel that he has some mental instability, then probably don't approach him at all by yourself.
Okay.
If you want me to meet you, I'll meet you and we can make a determination. But usually I call one of the agencies and they send the outreach team out.
Okay. Because last time we met, like we're supposed to ask if they want housing, right? Like if they want help. But you're saying,
Yeah.
in this case, just make a report, like call.
Yeah, or either I come out and I can determine as well. Either way, I'll go with you and then we'll make a determination. I'll call right there on the spot.
Okay.
And if it's any time before 5, and that's one of the things with these agencies, they shut down at 5 o'clock, but homelessness doesn't shut down,
I usually see him
So
later than that. Yeah.
we have to work on that. And you shouldn't have to wait a month in between our meetings to make contact either. You can reach me through the UNNC email that's listed on our agendas. My email is there.
I have your email and I have your phone number as well.
Right. So you shouldn't have to wait a month in between
Okay.
to help someone get service, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, and the bus, so you think they're gone and someone helped them? I'm not sure if it's the same one we called for, but,
Yeah, I don't know, like, they were there, and then after this meeting, like 2 days after we met last time, I went out there
Mhm.
and they weren't there, and then I checked about another week and a half after that, and then I drove by, a week
wow.
ago, like, they weren't there, so.
Okay, well, we're gonna consider that a good thing.
Yeah, Hugh,
We're gonna consider,
I think Hugh also had seen them, right?
you,
I think last time you said you had seen them too, but I don't know if you've gone by there.
Sorry, yes, I have seen them, but I have not seen them in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
okay, well, we're gonna consider it and hope they had direct assistance. Let's hope. And if you see them anymore, just let me know. Just, you can text me really quick, what street, what intersection, and we'll check from there. All right, thank you. Any more current issues, concerns, complaints? No? Tyler? I wonder, can you hear me? Tyler? Did you have any concerns? We usually have a student on from a couple of the schools too somewhere that do reports periodically for class, but I guess the school's out, they don't have to, they don't have to attend, but every now and then they pop in and out. So I was just seeing if that where Tyler was from. Paula? Is
Yes,
Paula there?
I really don't. You did say something about Lhasa having problems. What's going on with them, or being in
Well,
trouble, or something like that?
oh, well, they are periodically. I received something on my email as usual. And now the city council is complaining that they're not getting as many services as the county, or the county's complaining they're not getting as many services as the city. Well, the county provides 70% of their funding. And so a couple of the council members are ready to, as they said, file divorce papers from the city and the Homeless Service Authority. Well, they have a multitude of reasons. And one in particular is they're just tired of seeing the city looking the way it does, with all the trash and all the debris. So they're really, really, really complaining. And so I don't know what's gonna happen. And you've seen the news where Councilman Bonin and the sheriffs are going back and forth with the homeless on the beaches. So that's another problem. So the sheriffs, the city council believes that the sheriff shouldn't have gone in without collaborating with them. And so now Bonin has until the 4th of July to execute his plan with all the beach areas to see, what's gonna happen with those that are there currently. Well, someone else sent me a video of one of the ladies who happened to be homeless, and it was very touching. And she talked about the things that were going on at the beach and how she ended up to be homeless and what her plan is. But it doesn't appear that no one, she's quite capable to work. She's willing to work, but who's giving the jobs, to the people when they apply? So that's some of the concerns. If those willing to work, if they're willing to work, some of these city and county people need to offer positions or jobs and set up a job fair for the homeless, those who are capable. So, and they can help themselves. But that doesn't seem the way the system is set up. The other thing is, the second point that they're bringing up is, well, I can bring this one just by doing different reports. The money, we voted on some of the measures and funding to go towards homelessness. Well, LASA was the funding agent, so the funds went to them directly. Their goal was to create 10,000 units, of housing. But at the time when I wrote an article about a year and a half ago, they only had like 228. But now they're saying that they've actually housed 66,000. So people are wanting some accountability to show where they actually house 66,000. Because I have been the homeless count coordinator for, I don't know, the past 8 years or so. And what, 3-4 years ago, it was what, up to 75,000. Then during COVID, it grew more than that. And so if you don't do action and if you don't do prevention at the same time you're trying to house, you're never, ever gonna meet your goal. And so at one point, they're trying to just require that there's some more accountability from the service authority agency. And so we'll have to look more into that. Just keep your ears open in the news because that is a hot topic now more than ever. And so in particular is Councilman Koretz and Councilman Busciano. And so just look it up and you'll get all the details. But they're really, really, really going at getting it done. So LASA is trying to put it on Governor Newsom. So now you have 2 recalls going on now, Governor Newsom and Councilman Bonin. So that calls for a special election, right? How much does that cost? The amount of the cost of a recall in a special election is gonna be way more than housing.
Yeah, exactly.
2,000 to 5,000 people. So I don't know where everyone's priorities are, but I don't think they're looking at the cost that is. And so right now, Governor Newsom, you're switching platforms on me, Paul? Okay. So now Governor Newsom is looking into the cost of the special election and we'll see what happens from there. But they're doing surveys everywhere to see if you still want to recall him. So, and you know what that means. We'll be in the middle
Thank
of
you.
things, start from step 1 all over again. Paula? Did you want to say something?
Thank you.
Oh,
No,
you're
that was it.
welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so there's a lot more to it than that, but that's the gist of what's going on now. And so the question is, where does public policy meet real people, real circumstances, real, solutions? So that's what they have to do is pull up the analysis, the data analysis, and see if they really house that many people already and see how many more they have to go before they try to cut ties with an agency unless they find somebody else who will be able to pick up the slack. But it's more than enough work for both of the primary agencies. We just have to have a reporting like a hub, a mechanism where all data is reported and stop leaving it in these silos. Because I think everyone's helping. I've housed people myself in different areas where I know people have housing, and then I teach them how to get the funding for the people to live in the house. But they kind enough to let them live there while the funding is being requested from the agency. So I know I have this year, just this year, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 that are in position now that have their own housing in their own room. And then one other young lady, I had a Project Room Key. I wish she would have been able to get on, but Project Room Key is going on probably until September or October. And we'll see how that works out. But they had a process where PATH was helping them. And they were, well, I guess other agencies as well, but I sat and watched the entire process for PATH, which is People Helping the Homeless. That's an agency, another one that houses, and they're building facilities also off of Vermont and different places near Hollywood and bordering Los Angeles. So that's helping a lot of people too right now, where the hotels are opening up their rooms for homelessness. So that's where we are pretty much. But I just figure let's do our part, and of those that come across us that we can help one at a time, and that decreases the numbers as we go. So, well, now we have a special guest on the line, which is Miss Teresa Thompson. She's from the Department of Motor Vehicles, and she's going to discuss their role in some of the things that's new as far as IDs and topics that affect seniors. And I will let her come on and give her presentation. She is the ombudsman of DMV, and she's very, very, very helpful. She came to our public safety meeting when we had it at home about 3 years ago now. So 3 or 4 years, yeah. So welcome, let's welcome Teresa, everyone.
Hi, thank you.
Uh-oh.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
My virtual clap.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, perfect.
Do you have anything to screen share? Because I can make you a co-host if you do.
No, I don't.
Or you just,
Thank you.
okay.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Teresa Thompson. I'm with the Department of Motor Vehicles. I am the local senior driver ombudsman. My office is located in the city of El Segundo. So I am currently covering LA County, Central Coast counties, as well as the San Diego, San Bernardino area because of a vacancy in that area. So it's about 4 of us in the state. We're a very small unit in a very large agency. We try to partner with senior organizations throughout our areas to make sure that our seniors get viable information about the Department of Motor Vehicles. So we do a lot of public outreach, which of course was stunted because of COVID. And so now we're picking back up, about to probably go back in the field, but we're definitely have been doing, we switched to our virtual. So we've been Zooming all this time, you know, trying to make sure we're still out there more than ever to make sure people know what's going on with the DMV. So I was asked to come and speak a little bit about the DMV's role as far as what we have in place or what we're doing in the community. And of course, now I can't get my notes up here. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Of course, what I need disappeared, right?
Teresa?
Yes.
Hi, it's Hugh. I just didn't catch, what's your position at the DMV again? What was the title?
Senior Driver Ombudsman.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So just quickly too, as an ombudsman, I'm a go-between for the public. Usually we deal specifically with motor vehicles. So we assist with concerns, questions, complaints. We try to make sure that if a senior is going through something regarding his or her driving privilege, they know what's going on, why it's happening, what's the process, and what is expected of them. And then we also want to make sure that the Department of Motor Vehicles, our driver safety branch, is dealing with these customers, you know, based on our policy and procedures. So that's pretty much what we are designed to do. As far as community outreach, aside from what I do, there are different ways that we try to help persons that are not housed or that are homeless, unfortunately, and getting or ensuring that they have a California identification card. Okay, so DMV works with the community partners to make sure that those without housing get a California ID. That doesn't mean, unfortunately, that we still don't have requirements. You know, we're dealing with a time of after the terrorist attacks, which is the result of the Real ID, which are now available and have been for the last couple of years. And that came out or was put in was started by Congress, I should say, many, many years ago. We know that the terrorist attacks occurred many, many years ago, but that's just now kind of coming into fruition for all of the states. So it took a long time. So this is a federal program. With that being said, the DMV, of course, we're issuing verified, bona fide licenses and identification cards that people can use for other types of services. So we have to make sure that information is verified. So because someone is homeless, unfortunately, it doesn't, preclude them from submitting the required documents for an identification card. However, we know that they're homeless and sometimes there are mental challenges as well as just, limited abilities to get to different agencies to get maybe a birth certificate or some proof of certain things. So there are exemptions, okay, or exceptions. However, those are handled on a case-by-case basis. So I couldn't tell you right now this evening exactly, what is the picture of a person that would get an exception. Those things are handled on a case-by-case basis, but I can tell you that the DMV does have outreach to where they will work with a community partner, someone like Tori, and they will go out to a certain area, set up, and
These
they
are
will
people who live in the building that they're looking for. Are you
They'll
kidding
get
me?
identification cards processed for those that are homeless and that need identification cards. Okay, so that is definitely something that we have available for our community partners and agencies. As far as them being homeless, of course, sometimes, there's an issue with finances. And so we do have no fee and reduced cost fee identification cards available. Usually there's a form that is requested through a social service organization. And those are the documents that are needed and passed out to those persons that are applying for an identification card. Okay, so again, I want to make sure I'm clear. We do have some services available. We definitely go out in the community. Have we been doing that because of COVID? Of course not. When I talked to the region office the other day regarding the request of me coming in and speaking about how we're in the community with identification cards, specifically with our homeless community, they are going to be starting back up soon. They couldn't give me a date, but just so you know, Tori, and we'll talk offline, but if you're ready to kind of set something up, now the time to call them. We're kind of dealing with the backlog and they're starting to schedule and address people that want to have that done in their community. So I'll make sure I give you the contact information. Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. So what else is new at the DMV right now? We have a lot of things available for persons of all age online. DMV had to really bump up their technical support, during this time. So a lot of things that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to do without going into an office is now actually available online. Okay. For instance, seniors 70 and older, they are usually required to go in person to renew the license. Once they're 70 and older, they are now eligible to renew online. No tests. The tests are being waived. Written and vision are required. Those are being waived. So as long as they don't have a vision condition on record with the department, they can renew online for 5 years. So that's something that I didn't ever think I would see, but with the pandemic, it's like now you can't say what will never happen because that is now being enforced. I don't know when the government will end that. That is a special implementation by the governor at this time. So right now it's still going on. When it's going to be over, we don't know at this time. Is it going to be something that's just new and incorporated with our policies? I'm not sure. Something else that just came out is that anyone that renewed their license between March of 2020 and December of 2020 is eligible to now go in and upgrade to a real ID for no fee. Okay, and that was because during that time, our offices, we closed, we weren't servicing the public, we were closed to the public for a long period of time. We allowed persons to renew, like I said, online. Well, Real ID, of course, requires an in-person visit. So they weren't able to do that at that time because we just didn't offer it because our doors were closed to the public for many, many weeks. So that is something new. So again, if you expired between March of 2020 through December of 2020, ID or driver's license, and you were not able to get the real ID, you can now apply for the real ID. You are required to go in person. You can do the application online. You can pick the virtual option for real ID. It will allow you to scan your documents. Once it makes sure that your documents have been verified and they are correct or the right documents for the transaction, you will be given an appointment. And then you just go into the office with the original documents and there's no fee. Okay, so that's something else that's being offered because of COVID. Real ID, that date has been pushed back. This is a federal program. So the real ID is now mandatory May 3rd of 2023. So real ID is now mandatory May 3rd of 2023. When I say mandatory, it is not mandatory by the DMV. It is mandatory only if you are traveling by air, going through the airport, even for domestic flights, if you are visiting a federal building or military base. That's when real ID is required. You don't have to get it. And why is that? If you want to travel and you have a valid US passport, you're able to use that. You do not have to get a real ID. But if we're going to meet on May 3rd of 2023 at LAX and we're going to Vegas, either you have to have a real ID to board that flight or a valid US passport. So I want to make sure I'm clear that even if you're going to fly domestic, a valid US passport will be required May 3rd of 2023. If you're not traveling, if you're not visiting federal buildings and you do not want to be bothered with real ID, you do not have to get one. It is not mandatory. Okay, so I just want to make sure that's clear. And again, real ID requires an in-person visit to the DMV with all of the documents that are necessary. An identity document happens to be something that's required. That is going to be either your certified copy of your birth certificate, a valid US passport, or a certified copy of your certificate of naturalization or citizenship. There are a few more documents. These are the most common, okay? We only need one of those, just one, to meet the identity requirement. And then if your name is different now than what is on the identity document that you are bringing in, you have to bring in some type of legal name change document, whether it's a marriage certificate, adoption papers, or a legal name change from the court. That's only if it's applicable. And then you have to have your social security number on your application, of course, and then 2 pieces of mail to prove your address or your residency in California. And your name has to match on these documents. So you can't bring in something that says Teresa Thompson, Teresa Smith, Teresa Wilson, Teresa Alexander. The names have to match, because that is the purpose of the federal government being involved in this process, to kind of hone in on who is this person? Are these the same 2 people? Is this a different person? So that's the purpose of that program. Yes.
So I understand that the US is requiring the real ID to travel domestically. What about going, like, let's say you want to go to Canada or Italy or any other continent?
So
are they accepting the real ID, or do you need to also have your passport?
Very good question, Gisa. Thank you. So if you are traveling out of the country and your trip requires a passport, you have to have a passport. Real ID will not take the place of a passport if your trip requires a passport. Does that answer?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So that was a good question. Thank you. Any other questions on Real ID? Any other questions about DMV? Now, if you get the Real ID, just so you'll know, how will they know it's the Real ID? It's going to be marked by a very bright gold right corner with a star. Okay, so that's what's going to be the difference. If it's not the Real ID, on the top right corner, the verbiage "federal limits apply" will appear. So you will not be able to use that card if you go to the airport. So they're going to be able to, each state is going to have a special marking on the top right corner to signify it is the Real ID or driver's license. Okay.
We can hear every word except for when you turn your head to the right a little bit, when your face is clear. So there's bits and pieces. So we kind of missed little bits and pieces, but I think we got the gist.
Okay.
Could you repeat that part about the little writing in the upper right-hand corner that may limit you? What does it limit you from?
Yeah, so that if it's in the right-hand corner, if it indicates federal limits apply, that means it is not a federally compliant card. So you won't be able to use it at the airport, and you won't be able to use it to enter a federal building. So that is what differentiates the Real ID from the non-federally compliant card. The Real ID will have a bright gold bear on the top right corner. Very bright gold. So if you're wondering, do I have the Real ID? If you look at your driver's license or ID in the top right corner, if it's a bright, not a tracing of a bear, but it's going to be a vividly bright gold bear with a star, that is the Real ID. Okay. If you do not have the Real ID, it is going to say federal limits apply in the top right corner. And again, you have until May 3rd of 2023. Again, that was pushed back by the federal government because of COVID. This October would have been the date that that initially was going to be enforced, but because of COVID, it got pushed back. Okay, so our office, yes, Gisa?
What is the difference in price between a driver's license and the Real ID?
There is no difference in price. So if I go and renew my license right now, it's $38. If I want to renew my license and upgrade to the Real ID, it is $38. Same price. No problem. Good question. I'm sorry. You're keeping me on my toes, Gisa. Thank you.
Oh, that reminds me.
So, any
so
other questions on Real ID or DMV?
So the Real ID is the same price?
Yes, the Real ID. So the Real ID, the driver's license is $38. An ID card maybe is about $36. It's a couple dollars shy of what it is for a driver's license. Okay.
Oh, Real ID. Oh.
Yes, the identification card. So the Real ID can either be on your driver's license or your identification card. But it's called Real ID, so it gets a little confusing. So it can be either your driver's license or your identification card. Please know, for all seniors, share with them, whoever you work with in your communities, you can get a free senior identification card if you are 60. You can have the Real ID status on your senior identification. Say it again.
We missed some of that.
So when I turn this way, which way am I turning? I'm sorry.
Straight, right there.
Right here. Okay. I'm not going to move.
Okay.
So just so you'll know, your seniors can get a free senior identification card if you're 62 and older. Okay. And that card can be issued as the Real ID or the non-federally compliant Real ID card. It's no fee whether you get the Real ID status or not on a senior ID card. Okay, so that's important too, because certain persons out there that are homeless, unfortunately, meet that requirement that they don't have to pay. It's free if they're 62 or older anyway. Okay.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good to know. We're going to spread that word around.
Yeah, DMV doesn't give away much. So whatever's free that we give away, I want to make sure you know about it. The senior ID and the disabled person's placard, those things are free.
Okay.
Any other DMV questions?
Speak now, forever hold your peace.
Tori, is there anything else you wanted me to cover?
No, you pretty much, so if we're out there helping someone and they say, oh, I don't have any ID, I can't get this, I can't get that, I can't get my services, I can't get this. So at that point, that's what you're gonna explain to me, the steps of how to help them?
Yeah, if it's an individual, then they're gonna probably have to go into the office. If you want to do one of those outreach in the community, say it again.
You'll let me know when your outreach teams are gonna start going back out, right?
Right, I'm gonna give you the connection or the contact person, and then you can call and they can schedule you and you tell them what area so they can make sure they send out the correct team for that area, okay? Yeah.
Okay.
I'll email it to you actually.
Okay, sounds good. And then what else? So that'll cover that. That'll cover their ID. And so right now, is everyone must make an appointment to go to DMV right now? Still?
No, actually, right now, appointments are available for driver's licenses and ID cards. But for vehicle registration, they are really trying to encourage you to do that online. So appointments for vehicle registration transactions are not available, but you can go into an office. You do not have to have an appointment for driver's license or registration. But driver's license appointments are available. Actually, I just made someone an appointment yesterday, and her appointment was for today. So we have appointments now readily available.
Oh, really?
Right.
Oh, okay. I need to go in, get a updated license.
Okay.
It's not expired or anything. I just need to make a change on it.
Okay. Let me know. We'll get you an appointment, or you can go on our website and schedule that appointment. Yes. Okay. Any other DMV info you need that I didn't cover? Gisa, can you think of anything?
I can't. I mean, this is a personal question.
Okay. You want to call me, or you want to go for it?
I'll go for it. It's short.
Okay. Okay.
So during COVID, like I lost my license because I was trying to be, not carry my purse and all that stuff. And so I was pleasantly surprised I could apply for it online. Like, it wasn't a renewal. It was just
a duplicate.
Yeah, but I asked to change my address because my address had changed, and they sent me the same one. Okay, so you're saying nope?
So this is the thing. I'm shaking my head no, because this is what happens. And you wouldn't know this unless you work there. You have to change your address first. You have to do a change of address first. Wait a day or two, make sure that takes, or call me and I can look it up to make sure it's changed.
Oh, yeah.
You go in and do the duplicate. We can't do a duplicate and a change of address at the same time because we want to make sure your license wasn't found by someone else and they're changing the address. Does that make sense? So you go online, you go in your account, you change your address, you give it a day or two again, or you can call me. We'll look it up to make sure it's changed. Then you apply for a duplicate.
Okay. But then do I have to pay again?
If you're getting a duplicate, it's like $33, $32, something in there.
Okay.
Wait a minute. So she has to pay for a duplicate even though she requested a duplicate and they had the same address that she had before?
Yeah, because she didn't change it.
Oh.
Yeah, had she changed it, it would have gone to the new address, but we don't know that it's changed unless it's changed in the system or you go to the office and change it. Another important thing, just so you'll know, maybe Gisa, this may apply to you. So if you have a new address and now you've changed it on your license or you're going to change it, you also have to change it on your car registration. It's not going to tie those two things together. They have no way of knowing that. So when you do your change of address, if it's applicable, you're going to change it for your driver's license, your registration, and your placard. Now, some people want things going to different places. That's fine. But if you want it to go to one place, you have to change it for each item. Okay, so I want to make sure I tell you that because some people feel like, oh, I changed it for my license. That's not connected with your car registration. That's two totally different things. Okay, so do both of those if it's applicable.
Thank you. You're so good at explaining this. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yes, she is. Oh,
those are just things that I didn't even know. So those are things I've learned over the years. I would just think if I change it for my address, it's DMV, they're going to change it for everything, but it doesn't work that way. So I want to make sure that that's clear because you don't want your DMV stuff floating around. It's too much personal information.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So did you want to give your telephone number or your email or how did you want to do that?
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you my telephone number. My direct phone number is 310-615-3552. And I'll repeat 310-615-3552. That is my direct line. If I'm not there or unavailable to answer, you'll get my voicemail. As long as you leave a clear message with a phone number, I will call you back.
That's brave.
Yeah, it comes in handy, trust me.
Can you, Ms. Thompson, can you verify I got that right in the chat, please?
I just looked at
Yeah,
it,
it
Laura.
was.
Yes, you do. Thank you. It's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was watching it as it was going across the screen. I'm gonna have
Thank
to
you,
tell
Laura.
you, Teresa is the ombudsman, just like they have ombudsmen in the hospital, which comes in handy when you come to situations that the average person does not know. And I can just use me as an example. We just cleared something that happened in 2018 because of the COVID and the courts closed and this and that. And I didn't even know that I had a moving violation on my record until I checked my insurance company and said, why is this car more than that car when that was a more expensive car? And they said, oh, because you have a ticket. I said, where did it come from? And so come to find out, it was a situation that the police had given a whole lot of cars a ticket for not allowing them to touch the curb on the sidewalk. So a pedestrian crossing type of thing. We were like, what? It was actually a plainclothes policeman backing up into the crosswalk. And why do I know that? Because I got out of my car and took pictures. And so then it took, I said, okay, that's what that is. And so when I found that out, I made sure I followed up with the court and say, okay, I'm here. It was dismissed. But then in the process of that dismissal, just because they dismiss it from court, you have to make sure that you have a paper that proves that it's been dismissed, number one, to show to DMV, so they can get rid of it off of the record. So if I didn't know about the mandatory actions desk or this desk or that desk, but when they told me what to do, the court had to call and it's immediately gone. So I said, well, that is worth $1 million right there. But no, I was like, if we didn't have a resource to find these things out, you're stuck, right? So I feel sorry for the other 20 people that got the same ticket and didn't know what to do, you know, but I always believe, you know, once you know what truth is, you can always follow it through and get some assistance. So I have to thank you publicly for being of assistance with that. But, you know, I had initiated through Sacramento, like I always do with DMV, and they tried to figure it out, and it just wasn't happening. I said, I know better than this. So it's about being persistent as well. And so I just like to thank you, Teresa, for helping with that end game results and making it happen. So it's not, she's not just here because of homeless, but overall activity with DMV. So if there's anything now, she has at least 15 more minutes if necessary to ask any questions that you may need assistance with. But that's what we're here for, to take care of things that can be done in a forthright manner. So, are we good? Pastor Chase, you have any questions? Okay, you good? Okay. Linda? Linda's still here. I don't know. Hugh has a question.
Yeah, Dorit sent an email about waivers for fees for DMV IDs. Is that an option?
Yeah. For the homeless?
For anybody, but
Yeah,
perhaps.
yeah.
Okay, you said the recent waiver for IDs?
A waiver for the fee to get an ID. Is there such a thing?
Oh, she kind of
There
covered that.
there is a waiver for the fee. If they go through a social service agency, there's a specific form that the person usually knows about, and they'll request that on behalf of the applicant.
Got
And
it.
they have a
Oh,
reduced fee, they call it reduced fee or no fee ID.
Okay, got it.
Okay, you're welcome.
okay, but that's part of the one that you're gonna talk to me about, right?
Yes, I'll
Is
give
that
you more
part-
info on that so that you can now what you're talking about is like doing a large outreach for a group, right? Of homeless
Right.
person. Yes, so
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna give you that information.
Right, okay, because I know you had mentioned that no fee or reduced fee, that was the 841 number, right? Yeah.
841, is that
Oh,
562?
no, that's something.
Okay.
else.
I'll
No
email.
fee.
I know you're busy, you're all over, so I'll email it.
Yeah, okay, that'll be great. Yeah, she had mentioned that, but when you say service-oriented agency, that doesn't necessarily mean us from the neighborhood council, right? That means like LASA or HOPIX or,
I would think that would be, yeah, the county or city service, social service agency.
okay, because we are the liaison to the city between community and city, but we're not a service agency.
Right. So as long as you're backed by whoever you're representing or your partnership is with, they should have the forms because that's who has the forms. And then if they share them with you to give to the persons, and that's fine.
Okay,
Okay.
so if I get the official form from you and we have an outreach to the homeless, then we have that capacity to do that.
You do, but the forms are going to come from the agency. So the forms are
Okay.
ordered from the DMV and they're sent directly to the agency. And when you talk to the contact person, he'll let you know how to do.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was wondering about that process. Okay.
Yes.
Did you have any more questions other than that one?
Nothing else from me.
Okay, lower your hand. Thank you.
Just so all of you know, if you have organizations, your churches that are here, we do public outreach right now via Zoom. We'll be back in person, I'm sure, pretty soon. So if you have a group of seniors that just are confused or upset or want to know what's going on and how to renew the license, I can definitely do a presentation. These are free. We don't sell or solicit. I'm with the state. We're there to give information. So call me and we'll set something up whenever time allows.
Yeah, well, Pastor Chase is our outreach minister for our church.
Okay.
You've done presentations there before, but you know how you have a cycle of new people and
Yes.
I think we have the group of the oldest seniors. But I don't think, is there a certain cutoff age for driving?
It is not in California.
Okay.
As long as they can renew the license and pass the required test, which right now, remember, those are being waived. So you have some people that are 90 plus that
Right.
are able to renew online because the tests are being waived. Seniors are usually, though, the safest group of drivers because they limit themselves and they're very cautious.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah, our
That is
problems
true.
are 16 to 23-ish. Those are the daredevils.
Yes.
Yeah, that's our problem.
Yes. Okay. Paula, you good? Okay. So no other DMV questions? What? You mean you did such a great job, Teresa? There's no questions? Paula,
Did you
go
say
ahead.
the first name is Tisa? That's Tisa?
It's
No,
actually
TR.
Teresa. It's Tressa, Teresa.
Oh, Teresa. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mhm. Yeah, well, Teresa, you did such a spectacular job that no one has any DMV questions. That's unbelievable.
Well, I
Oh.
thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys having me. If you have personal questions, you can always give me a call and leave me a message, or if I pick up, we'll hash it out and figure it out, okay?
Okay, wonderful. That would be terrific. Well, hey, you're ahead of schedule by 10 minutes or so.
Uh-oh.
Maybe That's okay. We're fine. Maybe I'll ask Pamela, would you like to share some of the services you have for mental disabilities? Pamela?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Well, I'm a drama therapist. Not too many people know what that is, but basically it's a marriage of theater techniques and psychiatry and evidence-based approaches that help people with their therapeutic goals, accomplish their goals, their overall well-being. It could be clinical, it can be personal growth, it could be social issues, but I'm the founder of Scene Drama Works, and basically I'm interested in servicing the community. So I had a choice between clinical and personal growth in the community. And I've worked with homeless clients before, but that was a long time ago. And I'm just trying to insert myself into the community and find out what's going on, like what type of workshops, like for instance, what we're talking about here, what type of personal growth workshops that the homeless might need,
Right.
or
Right.
I mean, it could be anything like resilience or confidence or achieving something step by step. Maybe some of them are parents dealing with those issues. So if I know what they are, I can create these workshops, and even between the agencies, sometimes we have to have hard conversations, those type of workshops of how to have hard conversations,
Yeah.
and communication. So that's basically what I do. So I'm just trying to find out what the issues are, and so that I can create these workshops and sessions and stuff like that.
Well, you will never run out of issues. Thank you, thank you. But I have come across a couple of the girls that were homeless living in their car. Because they were living in their car, the agencies were threatening to take away their children. So I ran across one girl in particular, and she did everything to the letter that was requested of her. And they were still determined to take away her children until she had a roof over her head. And so that is one big issue. It doesn't come up that often, but it does come up. And so that would be a specialized workshop, perhaps, to walk them through that next door to get them shelter. And that's one. One other thing is, before COVID, we had a couple of theaters in the community that would invite community to participate in these dramatic scenes and things like that. But that's very therapeutic, especially for someone who enjoys theater and acting. So, but that's something that has to be readdressed after this, since we've opened up. I don't know how they're going to do any performances or any in-person, face-to-face, anything as far as drama and theater. Debbie Allen and Norm are opening up a new school on Washington and Manhattan Place. So that's something that probably could be addressed because they're coming up with new ideals and things like that. But resiliency is very, very important. Resiliency and confidence when it comes to somebody re-entering into the workforce and even going into their own place. One girl explained to me that once she got her place again, she said it's just the four walls were just coming in. She just couldn't take it at first. She was like, oh my God, it felt like she was claustrophobic or something. So she said once she finally got past that and got through that, she was happy and excited that she had a roof over her head. But the way she explained it, I was like, wow, how many people actually go through that process of living inside again after you've been homeless for a year or two, or 3 or 4. 2 ladies I took to the counselor's office, we sat down in their conference room. I had both of them explain. They both were very, very, they followed instructions to a T. But yet they were still both unhoused, going through the process for over 8 to 10 years. So I'm like, what is going on here? So, they kept running into roadblocks. And that's why I said, forget this. And so I had a couple of people that have houses and have rooms. I said, look, let them have this room. You guys work on the process in the process, and so some of the agencies will pay the back rent for them while they're doing communal housing or shared living, as they call it. So it's like, my God, you have women out there that's been out there for over 8 years. So you can't tell me that the process is working.
Yeah.
So there's no method of deducing the numbers in a systematic way. So what I just started doing was when you see these new buildings go up, sometimes you can, and that's something Paula, Hugh, we all can do. Lisa, if you see these new buildings go up, ask them for 5 applications. We can all do that. Ask for 5 applications and give them out. If they're 62 and up, give it to 62 and up. So they can fill out the paperwork ahead of time and get a place to live. So that's things that we all can that we can all do that won't take a lot of time. So, and then anytime you drive down the street and see a bunch of stuff or trash or whatever, just let me know. Take a picture, send it to me, tell me where it is. Then I'll send it to sanitation. There's a lot of things we could do though. Yes, Gisa?
So you're saying, I just want to make sure I heard this right. So some of these buildings that are popping up, these new constructed buildings, you're talking about normal buildings, not buildings specifically for the unhoused.
Well, each building is supposed to have a 15% allotment of affordable housing.
Okay, but then don't they, from my friends who live in apartments, I hear it's brutal. Like they run the, the checks, the to make sure that they have enough money to pay for the rent. They do all the background checks, right? And it's like so competitive to.
That'll be on them. If they want to say, yeah, I'm gonna try it, let them try it. We can't determine. Some people are homeless because they're waiting on money because they're an heir to an estate. Sometimes the state doesn't have money and you go 10 years, you gotta wait on probate. We don't know their circumstances.
True.
We don't know what they have and what they don't have. We just know they're homeless at the moment. So we can't assume that they don't have anything.
Okay.
Because some of them do have Social Security. That's over $900 a month. I'm not sure who gets what, when, where, how, but that seems to be the average that a person is getting that's homeless that I've noticed. So they can pay the room rent that I, identify for them. So it depends.
Thank you.
But if you're talking about luxury housing, that's a different story. I'm talking about. Yeah, but each one of these buildings, correct me if I'm wrong, Hugh, Laura, what's the percentage that you're supposed to have in each building for affordable housing? What's affordable?
Tori, are you talking about like TOC projects?
Yes.
Yeah, it depends on a number of things, how close it is to a bus stop. So it's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. And it also depends on, are they doing extremely low income, or are they doing low income, or are they doing 80% of AMI? So the lower the income, ELI, and the higher the tier, the fewer units they need. So what we're usually seeing, it's unfortunate, is just 2 or 3 units, because almost all the developers are choosing to do ELI, extremely low income, so they can do fewer affordable units and more market rate units. And so what's happening, you know, for the homeless, that's fine, but for the broader population, we're missing the middle when they do that. So with the moderate, it's usually closer to an 18 or 20% requirement. So the developers are just not doing that, because for obvious reasons. But these are, the TOC projects are not really aimed at people who are unhoused, except if you're, I mean, in other words, because there's no transition services or no services whatsoever. It's just affordable units. So, you know, and there's so many different programs. I've been trying just personally to work with, you know, work on behalf of 2 fellas, you know, a married couple, but one is not really legal in this country, so he can't work. They both have AIDS, HIV/AIDS. The one of them is getting Social Security, but it's only $1,000 a month, and we almost found them an apartment, but because it's not through some of these other services, it's not a voucher, and the rent would have been $900. So it was in a proper building, it would have been supportive, permanent supportive housing, but their only income is that one Social Security check, so we couldn't pay $900 a month in rent and have only $100 left. And they're on the edge of homelessness. They are not yet homeless, but they're in an eviction process. So, you know, it's possible if they become actually homeless and then get a voucher. You know, but it takes becoming homeless to get in. And that particular apartment won't be available anymore.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
We got to do prevention at the same time they're doing placement.
Right.
Otherwise, you're never going to get to the numbers that's necessary to make things any different than what they are now.
Right.
Yeah.
So but you know, it's just very complicated, because I feel like, I mean, I know I'm at the Homelessness Liaison Committee meeting and not the UNNC Planning and Zoning Committee meeting, but I do feel we need to also be constructing housing for the you know, what I'm now calling the missing middle, because what we're looking at is we have projects with permanent supportive housing. We have projects like the one that's just about to open on Washington, Gramercy Apartments, for affordable senior affordable and homeless senior affordable. Great project. And we have an awful lot of market rate, but what we don't have is construction of apartments that would, you know, cost $1,300 a month with 2 bedrooms. I mean, we just don't have that. And you know, I don't know how anyone's going to get it either. It's not, you can't build that very easily.
Well, before they finish that eviction process, why don't you have them take those papers up to LAHSA in person and see what happens?
Okay, Tori, so you do know that people who find themselves in that kind of pickle, including we've been together for 35 years, but one of the 2 guys is not even legal in this country kind of status. Yeah, it's really hard to help them. I'm doing this as best I can.
Right, but he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, when you say, why don't you take them, have them go, oh, it's very complicated. I mean, I can tell you the whole story, but the short end of it is that the one who's very ill can't go anywhere. And the other one who's not allowed to work legally in this country is taking care of him, but not being paid as the caretaker. And they don't have a paid caretaker. So he's not able to go very many places for very long. Yeah, bad situation. And it's not local to here. It's in Boyle Heights. The guys are in Boyle Heights.
Yeah, but
Anyway,
still,
but I think we all know stories like this, maybe not
yeah.
a lot like this, but it's proving very difficult to have them help themselves. And frankly, their social workers are hindrances, not help.
Yeah,
And will not cooperate with those of us who are trying to help them because we're not allowed to talk to you. And it's like, well, how do we help them? So,
well, give
but
him the authorize, give
yeah,
him to write something and authorize you as conservatorship, and then
Yeah.
it don't have to go that far, but just get them to, in writing, that they authorize you as a spokesperson, and then the social services will be
Yeah.
able to communicate with you.
right. But I mean,
Yeah.
but we've got Hollywood Community Housing Foundation is trying to help them. I mean, it's like, I'm just saying, it's very difficult for people to get housing. I can't say it any other way. It's just
Yeah.
very difficult. It's not just hard to build enough housing and hard to build it cheaply. It's just hard to help people get that miracle. They finally have housing.
Right. Oh, that's something. I hate to hear that, but if you need any assistance, then those agencies are supposed to help with back rent before even the eviction starts. So that is also why they're there. So it won't hurt to call and check, and you don't have to give the entire detail of the situation, especially the health issues, until they ask specific questions.
Right.
But yeah, but it doesn't hurt to call and see.
I know. Okay. So,
Yeah.
but let's move it back to UNNC's Homelessness Liaison Committee.
Hugh, did you have your hand up? Did you have a comment on that?
Nope, nothing for me.
Okay, you good? Okay. Okay. Well, did you have a chance?
I have a question.
Yes, Linda?
Yes, I wanted to ask if other organizations want to get involved and do more advocacy kind of work with the organization, how do we do that?
Oh, well, there's a multitude of ways to do that. So far, we've had a shower day. We had giveaways for masks, and with other organizations as well, with masks and sanitizer and gloves and all the things that was necessary during COVID, sanitizer, gloves, mask. It was one other item, water. Also did a local Thanksgiving feed day. So there's a lot of things. I mean, you can get as creative as you want. So when we can have activities again with outreach situations, which I hope is coming soon, then we can always partner, right, Laura? Laura's our president of the neighborhood council currently. I'm the homeless liaison. But is there a process for actual partnership with other organizations, Laura? You're on mute.
I'm on mute. I'm not sure. You mean us collaborating in an event, or?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I did that with the shower. Was it shower day? One of those events I did.
Yeah,
shower day I had.
Our collaborations on events are still on hold.
Right.
Hoping that's going to be lifted pretty soon. The Department of Neighborhood Empowerment was at the last Board of Neighborhood Commissioners commission meeting. The head of Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, Raquel Beltran, was asked that question. She's saying it's up to the city clerk. I think she's just punting because that's about money. And
right.
I don't, yeah. So I feel it's just nobody knows any answers, and she was punting. And
so we have to pretty much wait on the city clerk.
We're just at the moment, we're just not planning to participate with events, and we're still using finessed language, I think, in terms of giving like a nonprofit money without using the word for an event. I mean, you know, we're just trying to finesse. I mean, we're not giving any money away for the next 3 weeks anyway. But
Right.
yes, we don't have a clear picture on that kind of collaboration at the moment.
Well, as soon as we can do face-to-face events, we'll let other organizations know, and Pastor Chase and other organizations will be able to participate in outreach endeavors. So as far as, things like putting up tables for memberships and inclusivity for neighborhood council activities,
Mhm.
cleanup days, we have a lot of things that we do. So,
Well,
feel
here's
free whenever.
Tori, the other thing I don't know, and I saw that Gisa had her hand up as well, but the other thing I don't know is, are there any statistics yet on what proportion of the homeless population has been vaccinated? I mean, in other words, I don't know if anyone knows the answer, but that in terms of specific outreach that the neighborhood council could be involved with related to people who are not housed, that may be a pertinent figure to have. Not that you should have it, but that in general, the city should have it, because there's 99 neighborhood councils who are concerned with this, and not just us.
Yes, you're right. I'm trying to see, because that should be a separate entity, but it's interesting enough. I'm gonna see, right now, what America, we're sharp, what, 35%?
Yeah,
Collectively,
but the city
not
is
just homeless.
56 or 60%. The thing is, the state has the records. I just don't know if they've parsed the records to know
That's what I'm saying.
who's who, what's what,
Right, right, that's what I'm saying. You said we're 56% vaccinated, and I said it the other way, we're like 35% short. So we're
Right.
both, we're both right in that aspect. But when it comes to, I'm gonna see if I can pull that up. Lisa, go ahead and ask your question while I'm looking at something.
That was
Okay.
actually Laura's question about the unhoused being vaccinated was my question. And then just what are we doing in terms of outreach to get those vaccines into their arms? They want them.
Well, Pastor Chase, maybe you can help with this. We've done 3 vaccination outreach activities so far at Holman, at the church, on the parking lot right there off of Adams and 4th Avenue. So I believe we plan on doing it again, right? Because we were supposed to have a partnership with Pfizer. Pastor
Yes,
Chase,
there's a
is that
partnership
correct?
with, there is a partnership with Kaiser.
Right.
The dates have not been indicated yet when we're having these
The
activities
next one.
at home.
Okay,
But we will
so
let
as
you know.
soon as you find, pardon me?
We will let you know as soon as
Okay.
there are dates.
Okay, as soon as you come up with a date, then we'll do that, and then we'll all do our outreach effort to get the flyer out to whoever's in the community within our parameters to make sure that everyone's vaccinated. Linda, did you have another question?
Yes, I had another question. I wanted to know, I'm not sure if this is your area, but Leimert Park, they just opened that up. Initially, they had a lot of problem with homeless. So does your group or whatever group that handles that area, what are their plans to prevent the homeless from going back in there? How are they gonna help them?
Well, I've called on the Leimert Park a couple of times too. Everyone's gone right now. And just because we're in the area that I'm assigned to, doesn't mean other areas don't call and don't ask questions. So if somebody comes to me, I'll try to help them as it evolves. But as far as the Leimert Park, I usually will see them, but right now there's no one there, none. And so, and Leimert Park has been open throughout the whole COVID period. It's just that they had an official opening with Councilman Ridley Thomas on Saturday, last Saturday, regarding the gate, but that gate has been open. He just did an official opening. It's been open and closed and open and closed. There was no consistency. But now he just did an actual outreach event. And so, of course, there's no homeless there because you knew he was going to do the event. if they come back, as they come back, I'll ask the same questions you've been asking. Are you interested in being housed? Are you looking for a roof over your head? And if they say yes or no, whether they say yes or no or not, I usually call the outreach agency anyway and let them know the location. So that's what we all can do. And if you see any encampments, just well, take a picture and send it to me, since they have the sanitation team in rotation now.
Okay, Donna has her hand up.
Donna?
The park has security and it is locked and opened in the mornings, dusk to dawn. Nobody can stay in the park other than during the day, as everyone uses a park, and at night it is secured. There is ongoing security that comes and goes during the entire day and evening.
So even after it's locked, they have security there?
Security comes and goes. It's like security.
Oh, okay.
So
okay, so that's as of last Saturday?
Once they opened it, technically open like Benny Potter, there is security that comes and goes, maintain, make sure, does a walk through, all of that. It won't be opened for use and people camping or doing anything. It is no longer
and overnight.
That
right,
type
overnight.
Of right.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I was out of town while they had that going on. I'm glad you were there. Anything else? Oh, Laura, can you play the little short clip?
Yeah, I can. It's not as short as you would hope. Hang on a second, because I'm now in the wrong place.
No,
I've been so sorry. I have been, what can I say? Doing two things at once.
That's okay. Oh.
Whoops. Now you don't want that. I'm stuffing that. I'm going to try this again. I'm going to try it again.
I think that was it.
No, I know, but I was seeing two things at once. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. This is just a village they have in Nevada.
Okay, I'm going to see. Let's see if this works. This is what you wanted me to share, right?
Yeah, the tiny homes.
Yep. Let's see if it works. It's just spinning away here and not actually giving us anything. That's not good.
So you see the picture on the left.
Here you go.
Others are tiny. But home is where we lay our keys, our dreams, and our heads. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Change is not measured in square feet, but in the realization of an idea that gives hope.
At Hopes, we provide integrated medical care and other wellness services to a broad section of our local population. We currently provide these services to over 10,000 patients, both adults and children. The severity of the issues we treat and the number needing our services has only increased with the local impacts from COVID. We strongly believe that a critical part of providing health care in town.
That's two different things overlapping. But I just want them to get an idea of what the tiny homes look like.
Okay, I can't actually hear you. Let me pause. Let me pause a second. What are you saying?
I was giving them an idea of what their tiny homes look like in the village. It's just, I'm trying to figure out how.
Yeah, let me.
Work together to provide this project as a
solution. What you want me to do? Show you pictures?
As part of the solution to our housing crisis.
Hope Springs is here. I'm deeply humble and proud and very grateful to be part of bringing this sanctuary, this resource, and mostly a home to our most vulnerable people who are just like you and me, without hopes, I would not be alive. Some of you have heard my testimony. 5 years ago, my life had fallen apart. I'd lost everything and everyone that mattered to me, that I'd worked all my life for and cared about. All I wanted to do at that time was give up. My parents and my wife had passed during a 3-year period. I'd lost my house, 3 rental properties, my job, my passion, and terribly my faith. I was alone, scared, homeless, couch surfing, and hopeless. I was not afraid to die. I was afraid to live. My life started over in 2017 here at Hope's.
Yeah.
We're done?
Yeah, you can stop it.
Okay.
I was just gonna show, if you guys get a chance, you can go to Hope Springs, it's in Nevada, in Reno, and it shows you all the different, it's a little village that they create of tiny homes. And they have a big area where you could cook, take showers, bathroom, everything, you know, separate. But it's really nice. I just didn't get the whole process of how they do intake and how you get to live there, you know, but it's transitional. But while they're transitioning and living there, they help them get the resources right there. So it doesn't take as long to get to permanent supportive housing. You know, they have that little house in the transition, but some of them show the inside and show how they cook and do like a shared living space for anything other than sleeping. So it's pretty interesting.
Right,
So
but Tori, I will
actually-
say, I started looking into it. There's 2 real differences between that project and what we're seeing here. One is just the amount of land. I mean, they're on land.
Right.
And they've got obviously shared vegetable gardens, etc. But also those are singles. All the ones that we seem to be doing here in LA, you have to live, they're doubles. I mean, so you end up with a roommate, and I mean, some people would want to have their best friend roommate with them, and others would not. So I think these were a little more charming. You know, maybe charmingness is not important, but they felt a little more cute and charming than the ones. I mean, they just opened another group of tiny homes in Council District 13, and they just seemed really harsh and cold, and they were 2 people in one. So I don't know.
I haven't seen those, but I haven't even seen the ones on the lot that Herb had placed in the tent inside, but the outside looks pretty cute and quaint. But I'm talking about, what about the ones that they're proposing 64 square feet for $130,000? That seems pretty excessive.
Right.
So I don't know. I think that we can come up with a better plan.
Right. But I have to say, it's a little unfair because in Reno, there really are lots and lots of wide open spaces, as you could see in the video. So, I mean, it's, we're a highly urbanized environment. So I just don't know. But I do feel that there can be more amenities on the land, and while we're trying to house a lot of people, I don't know, roommates just seems like maybe not the most ideal way to get people to want to do it.
Right. And then yesterday on the news, they said that they're spending what, $1,000 per tent for some of those tents.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, but I was like, that's why I'm talking about the accountability aspect. Yes, Linda?
Yeah, I had a comment about the housing. I think it's just good to see what other states are doing, and that kind of just gives ideas to our state exactly what we should and can do, what the possibilities are.
Right. Because for $130,000, I think they're getting their own individual plumbing or something's going on. I'm like, I just can't even imagine that price. But if we do it in the way that they set it up, like like a clubhouse or like a conference room, how they have it structured, and everybody, take their turn and time to do showers or whatever they need to do. But the cooking together may be fun, it's all how they have it set up. But I just think it's a more economical way that we could do it here, and that's just something we need to look into, as opposed to just trying to appease the public and getting it done. Let's get it done right. I mean, it's transitional. You're gonna keep having people transition through, but while they're there, focus on getting those resources they need and hold those developments accountable for the 10 to 15% or 18% that they supposed to use in their buildings for affordable housing. So I don't know where the accountability is with that aspect, but I think that all these buildings going up in our communities, if we utilize that 18%, that would help tremendously. Anyway, you guys, it's 8:07. Does anyone have any last remarks or anything or questions or concerns? Pamela, we hope you join us again. Linda, our two newbies. Our next meeting is July 22nd, same time, same channel. And I'd just like to tell everyone good night and thank you for joining us.
I'd like to say, don't count on the $130,000 a unit ever happening. Have a good night.
Hey, no. Your mayor said that. That's the goal.
Don't count on it ever happening.
I hope not.
Don't worry, it won't.
Okay, I'm
Good night, everybody.
Good
I'm
night.
be accountable for that one. Good night. You know I'm gonna call you in a minute. Bye. Good night, everyone. Thanks, Jesus, for your input, Linda.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, Tori.